sort of in the front top 2 or 3 rows. And then we've got Ryan Phillips and Harry Tompkins. They're going to feature as well. But you can see here already, we've got Kobe Williams, Peter Faulkner on the front row of the grid. It's going to give these guys a bit of a chance to understand what it's like to be at the competitive end of the field. And then who else behind them can latch onto that leading group of cars and see if they can feature down the line. We want to see all of that. We want to see exactly how this is going to unfold over the next 15 to 16 minutes.
Very much a almost changing of the guard. We can see unfolding in front of our eyes the top guys moving on to other things, and the new bunch, the young bunch coming through, and they're really going to show us what they're made of this year. One thing that really stood out to me at Island Magic was good, clean Excel racing from these guys at the front of this field here today.
Absolutely. 5-second board goes out at the tower on the left-hand side of your shot there. So drivers are now under starters' orders, and it's all about power to the ground. And these front-wheel drive cars with the Federal tyres all around, and away we go. Very, very smart start from the front 2 pair. They get away very evenly, very minimal wheel spin. So they've obviously figured out how to get them off the line and keep the momentum going. Momentum critical in these Hyundai Excels. Front wheel drive cars, obviously with the front engine in the car as well. So if you get your start wrong, it just goes into wheel spin and it goes nowhere. 3 wide now on the approach into turn number 1 as Williams going to pop out the other side. The pole sitter hangs on just for the moment with Faulkner under attack from the number 33, Harry Tompkins. That familiar red, white and yellow battery stop machine now cuts sway and picks up a position here at turns 2 and 3. Holding it through P4 as the field streams through single file. Open over the ripple strip for a couple of them as they control their cornering speeds and head up the back straight for the first time.
How good's that shot? The cars just keep on coming, don't they? Brilliant field of Excel.
Next.
Exactly right. Big note from me there, Nash. I had some sort of problem off the line. I don't know if it was clutch slip or something, but he's plummeted down the order. He's about 4th last, but it looked like on the exit of turn number 4 he was ready to make up some positions again. So not sure what that was, whether it was clutch related, as we see number 39, that's Lodge up the inside of Ambrose. And Ambrose having to take to the gravel there, but they're still side by side as they head into the final sequence of turns.
Ambrose has lost 3 positions at the start here, and if Lodge manages to gather him up through the chicane here, it'll be 4 on the opening lap. He's there, he's hanging there, they've got to leave a little bit of space here. This is going to be a very, very interesting fight down the front straight here. Larry Merrifield in the number 7 is going to buy into this and make it 3 wide on the run down to turn 1 at the start of lap 2 here as well. So already separation, there's about 4 or 5 cars that have checked out at the head of this field, and then there's a big gap back to that group of 3, almost 2 and 3 wide again going into turn 1, the lead group of cars. And then look at this, there's a pack of 5 of them all squabbling over one spot. It was 3 wide at the beginning of that group as well.
Changes 4th position then, so Williams now down to 3rd, but he's up the inside of both of them. This is very fierce racing to start the championships, and that's Tompkins out front from Faulkner, Williams in 3rd and Phillips in 4th position. So chopping and changing early on in this championship.
About 4 or 5 different packs on counting as they go through here. So there's another pack, a group of cars. Look at Charlie Nash, there he is. When did he start? He started right up the order in P8. He crossed the line. He's almost on the back end of the top 20. He's fallen like a stone. Yeah,
I think, as I said just before, clutch slip or something off the line. It did not move very well at all, but once it seems to have got going away from the line, it seems all right. So I'd put that to clutch or something anyway, but it fell down to 4th last at one point on the last lap. I can hear a noise. Is somebody off at Dandy Road?
No, I don't think so. Looks like there's a position there for Bradley Packham in the number 50. He's fighting tooth and nail with Chris Stilo in the 122, the New Line Homes entry. Stilo has that spot back, and Packham goes backwards a couple of spots there. So poor exit out of Dandenong Road for the driver of the number 50, the black and blue car just in the back of shot there. And about 3 cars went through very, very quickly. He's actually dropping a couple more spots there. So a very, very poor second half of the lap for Bradley Packham's cost him actually about 5 spots now.
It's changed up front once again. Blink and you miss it. So now it's Faulkner from Williams, and Tompkins has moved in the last half a lap from 1st down to 3rd. So more reshuffling, and it's Lodge actually with the fastest lap, as we can see down the bottom of the screen. He's in position number 6, so the front end of the field is condensing. The 3-car battle may become more as the laps wind by. We'll see some fierce battling here between Seymour and Sala. That's for position number 12.
Yeah, you mentioned fierce battling. I think that's probably the only way we can describe it. I mean, there has been a little bit of a tidy up with some of the rules around the racing in Excels over the last 12 months. There was a bit of a theory around the bump draft and if that was actually legal or not. It is actually outlawed. There is meant to be no contact when you're running nose to tail in Hyundai Excel. So you'll see them getting very, very close to each other down the front straight, down the back straight, but they still need to maintain that little bit of separation. If you push your rival along, you will be in a bit of trouble at the end of the race. So that has been cleaned up over the last couple of years, and it's starting to show here. A few drivers have actually been able to run nose to tail down the front straightaway, then manage to get themselves into a 3-wide bunch and then still get through the corner. So it's had wonders. That sort of rule clean-up over the last 12 months is promoting much, much better racing.
Particularly prominent at Phillip Island, wasn't it, down the main straight? Absolutely. There. They were really bump drafting just to try and almost NASCAR style. I was watching a bit of NASCAR yesterday, and it very much is NASCAR style bump drafting.
Good example of that being illustrated right now with Lodge in the number 39 pulling out precisely the right moment on the Poolmaster entry there of Ryan Phillips in the number 8. So Phillips moved over to the left-hand side and said, if you want the racing line, you can have it. I'm going to defend. And Lodge said, well, thank you very much. I'll have the outside line then, please.
And Williams, also at the pointy end of the field, says, thank you very much. I'll have first position. Thank you very much, Faulkner. Back you go. So yet another change in the top 3. And this time it was Carpenter in 4th of the fastest lap of the race. And it is now a 4-car fight for the lead. 0.8 of a second the margin between those top 4. And here they are as Faulkner takes the position back. Looks like slipstreaming today is very effective.
It is indeed. Like Darren Smith said before, every time they get close to that wall camera at turn 4, I wince with how close some of them are actually taking liberties. And we don't know how much room is left on the other side, do we? So I think it's only going to be a matter of time before we see a bit of paint being left as Chris Stilo in the Holmes car has taken it to the escape road, and they've got 2 off there as well. So there was a spinner at the top of the hill and another car went off in sympathy. The number 19 machine of Blake Tracy is the one that spun. There was another car involved I'm not sure if they were involved in the incident, but they were off at that part of the track as well in the back of shot.
It's another black machine, wasn't it? So yeah, not quite sure who that other car was. They managed to recover, get back on the road straight away. They certainly took the wide outside line. I'm just seeing Phillips has lost a few positions on that lap, so he's now at the back of the second group. He was up in 5th, but now behind Lodge and Ambrose. So a bit of reshuffling.
Safety car.
Yeah, safety car.
Safety car being called for. I think that'll be for the Blake Tracy car that's in the runoff area at turn 6 and 7. So not able to get moving under its own steam, and a wise call. And actually there's damage. I can see that from that angle there. There's some damage on the front left corner of the number 19. And there's, you can see all the black trail marks from the spin. So it looks like he may have contacted the wall just at that point, just where the marshals are holding the safety car board there at the moment. You can see that's where the tracks go to, and then the subsequent tracks from the spin.
Looks to me, following those straight lock-up lines, it looks like the car was on the inside and is being contacted. It's fired him to the right-hand side of the track, driver's perspective. I'm not sure if you'd read that the same way, and then it's bounced off the wall. Yeah,
I think that's a very astute observation there. There's definitely tracks that are going at the wrong angle to where the racing line is at that part of the track. So you can see there the car's got a bit of front damage. Looks like the front left tyre might be at a bit of a weird angle, but they've thrown the safety car, and there is a little bit of debris there on the ground they're going to have to pick up as well. And I think Blake Tracy's just going to have to wait until this field goes through before rejoining the track, and then just tack onto the back of the group.
Good news is because Tracy's managed to recover. Yeah, we can see the damage there. That's the first time I've really been able to see it. Doesn't look as bad as I first thought, actually, from the other camera angle. Just looks like the nose has been knocked out of alignment a little bit.
Yeah, lunch has been the light on the left-hand side has been punched in there, and a bit of guard damage. So yeah, that's a black flag the officials will be all over that. They'll be calling that car to the lane, I think.
What I was going to say is due to Tracy being able to get back underway on his own steam, that's great news. That means that this safety car should be very brief, which is what we like to see, particularly in timed racing, according to my stopwatch, which I started when the cars headed out on the warm-up lap. There's 6.5 minutes to go.
So this will reinvigorate the second pack.
Absolutely.
This will not only bring the second pack back to the front pack, this will reinvigorate them. So I expect when we get back to green flag running here, there'll probably be about 3, maybe 4 laps to run. So this will be an all-out sprint right till the very end. We've chalked up 5 completed laps. I think this is we're on the 6th now, so this will be about a 10-lap affair. So not a bad run for the XLs, but this is what we've been talking about with the timed racing. It's effectively a user pays system, or a category pays system. So if there is some, as we were talking earlier, some very, very intense battles, and if they lead to accidents, unfortunately that's going to mean safety cars going to come out. It's going to curtail the amount of laps that the categories are going to have.
Absolutely. Last year we saw some incidents in certain categories, and it was making the categories afterwards have time certain finishes, and that wasn't really fair for those categories that hadn't done anything, that hadn't caused any safety cars. This way, if your category causes safety cars, it's you that's going to be affected by it. You're the one that has to sit under safety car and have less green flag racing laps.
That's right, and that's in response to Paul Ziddy was talking about earlier in the day. To what a number of the categories had said, this is what our members are talking about, this is what we would like to see, how can we actually work together to get a solution. So it's good to see that the Victorian State Race Series, the VMRC and all the associated clubs that run this great series here in Victoria have managed to come together and find an experiment that for this weekend it is essentially an experiment, and it's going to be fine-tuned from here. So this may not necessarily be the final product in terms of the length of races and how many races there are and how everything is structured. There is still a little bit of work being fine-tuned around the edges to make this the best possible level of racing and get the maximum value for money, as Paul Ziddy called it earlier in the day in the drivers' briefings. Best value for money for all the drivers and competitors and teams that want to come and participate.
Absolutely.
Yep. We're going round again, and I saw there was a flatbed tow truck that was out there as well. So I'm wondering if we've got a car on the circuit somewhere that actually needs to be picked up. I'm looking down our timing screen here at the moment. I can see that there's another car in the wall. Okay, so
that was the other black car that we saw run wide, and we thought he escaped unscathed. Clearly not.
No, clearly not. So I'm struggling to see which car that is. It's a black one with the only one that I can see there Wilson. Might be the 53.
Yep, Wilson.
Scott Wilson. And yes. Yeah, so we're looking at here on our timing tree. The only car that we can see on our list of entries here is a black Hyundai of Scott Wilson. And yep, there you can see it there right on the windscreen, on the side window, Wilson. So unfortunately, unlucky to not escape that incident. So I dare say if we look back to what we were talking about before with the black lines and the damage and things like that, this would tend to suggest that maybe the two of them have had a little bit of a coming together. So I think with the safety car controlling the field and the fact we've got to pick this car up and get it back to the pits, that time is going to be the enemy of the Hyundai XLs for race 1 here on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, we've got 3 minutes remaining, so yeah, not quite sure. I believe we're just about to see a replay and look at the very back of the shot.
Yep.
For the incident, or the end of the incident. So
there's
the one car.
Yep, and then the other car that was involved in it, the Scott Wilson machine there. So difficult to spot, and not really showing the incident in question, but just really showing the aftermath of what happened there. So I dare say there'll be a little bit of a discussion between those two drivers, and probably the men and women that are above us as well will be saying, would you please mind bringing your video footage to show us what went on, please?
I noticed there that the Wilson car, from the angle it took off the road, didn't turn from the angle it got to the wall. So I don't know if steering damage. If we have a look, it just goes straight on.
Dead straight.
Dead straight. So here we go. There's the one spinning car. That car is going dead straight. And I think there might be some left front damage, and it looks like it's just gone straight towards that wall.
Yeah, it doesn't tell the full entire story, I think, but you're right. So one car had some contact with the wall, and then another car had I guess the presence of mind just to probably hit the brake pedal as much as they possibly could and just minimise the amount of impact. But where the Scott Wilson cars come to rest would probably suggest that the cars actually hit the wall at the end of that sort of turn 6, turn 7 runoff, because where it's positioned and the tow truck has to pick it up from is probably not the position I would have expected that car to be in had it have come to a complete stop under its own power. So maybe not just some sort of issue with it coming together, but maybe a brake issue or some other mechanical issue for car number 53. And I've just noticed the last lap board is currently being held out now, so this race will officially end under safety car with Peter Faulkner, Kobe Williams and Harry Tompkins the top 3. So that is how they will remain.
Well, unless one of them has a mechanical issue on the final lap.
Yeah, famous last words. Famous last words.
It's most likely I'm going to change that to going to stay that way. But yeah, there's 1 minute left on the clock. So yeah, it's 20 minutes. And yeah, the finish of that lap. So 20 minutes and then they cross the line and that's the end. So with 19 minutes gone, it's certainly going to be the end on this lap behind the safety car. A bit of a frustrating way, disappointing way to end the first race of the season. But my golly gosh, did we have some great fighting up the pointy end of the field.
We certainly did. I'm actually just having a look through the list to see where a number of these drivers started and where they managed to get back to as we drag the Scott Wilson machine back to the pits. Great work by the recovery crews as always. What happened to Charlie Nash? We know that he had a really poor start, and looking up and down the order here, I'm looking to see where on earth he is. Actually, you're pointing out in the back a shot there. There's actually a little bit more damage on the concrete wall at the back there, so that's where the first car, Blake Tracy, will have gone in.
Yeah, we originally thought it was the guardrail, but yeah, it looks like it's slightly further on, and in fact I think a bit of concrete might have even moved. So yeah, might need some potential repairs. Look, the gravel's been flicked up. I reckon it's just missed that arm coat, maybe slightly clipped it. It's hard to speculate, it really is, but you can see a lot of tyre marks going in straight lines towards the guardrail. So it's guardrail and then the concrete at the back with the Melbourne signage on it that's got a lot of black marks as well. As we see the cars around the final corner. So it is going to be Faulkner who takes the first race win of the year in the Victorian Hyundai Excel Circuit Racing Championship. Quite a long title, isn't it?
It is a very long title, but thanks to Trick Trailers and all the associated sponsors for the Hyundai Excels. Their race 1 for the weekend comes to a conclusion. Faulkner, Williams and Tompkins with Dale Carpenter and James Lodge, 4th and 5th. Cadell Ambrose 6th in that one with Ryan Phillips 7th, Larry Merrifield in 8th. And then you've got the 99 machine of Jason Kay in 9th, so he picked up a spot there, and Chris Stilo in the New Line Homes entry, he finishes in 10th place. So plenty of action in that one, unfortunately curtailed by the incident at turn 6 and finishing under safety car. And as the Hyundai Excels exit stage right at the end of the front straightaway here, we're going to take a short break in central commentary. It's historic touring cars coming up after this, the throwback to yesteryear, and some great examples of Group N touring cars coming up on the other side of this. You're watching Blendline TV and the Victorian State Race Series, Round 1 from Sandown International Motor Raceway.
Down here in the XL paddock, and I'm joined alongside by Ryan Phillips. He's the driver of this very svelte-looking Hyundai XL. Now, Ryan, could you tell us a little bit about your racing journey to get to this point now?
So I started a couple of years ago in the State Series, just building my way up, built my own car for the first one and just slowly progressed to a better vehicle, and this one's turned out pretty good. Ben from Bang Signs has done a good livery on this one. It's the 2004 Daytona 500 winner, so it's a Dale Earnhardt car. I'm number 8, it's number 8, so it was good to sort of do that car, and at least Mum can see it with the red roof, makes her happy too. So.
You can see her smiling in the background there, but part of the appeal as well is the devil really is in the detail. So the more you look at the stickers and the little idiosyncrasies of the livery, it really adds up to make a wonderful looking car for this weekend.
Yeah, Ben's pretty switched on, so he's even got like the outline of the roof flaps on the roof, so if you get spun in a straight line, like you don't roll over, and little NASCAR stickers on the side and the Federal tyre, so he's done a good job. I'm pretty happy to drive this car. So
So you've come through the ranks through the past couple of seasons, but what's your appraisal, or what are you expecting for 2023?
I think just consistency, where last year I lacked a bit of that towards the end of the season, so it's just more consistent year, and it should have a good result in the end, I think. So it's a long season, lot to play out.
Ryan Phillips, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just waiting on the green flag at the back from the officiating crew, and it's happened, and away we go for race 2 of the XLs, and immediately Kobe Williams judging the start beautifully there, jumping about 2 or 3 car lengths in front of the pole sitter Peter Faulkner, but behind it's all Action Stations. First group of 5 away and 3 wide behind them.
As we see them stream 2 by 2 into turn number 1 as they were on the green. You can see Tompkins up to position 3. They're all contact.
Cadell Ambrose and the 111 machine of Dale Carpenter, reminiscent of what we saw last year with Ian McLennan and one of the other improved production cars. I think it was Craig Piergros with a very wild ride across the outside of turn 1. Carpenter, who started 4th, he has gone almost back to about 6th last, so he's going to be somewhere around 27th, 28th place after that little excursion.
Quick recovery, and because the field's so big, he's not actually at the back of the field. It's quite remarkable, isn't it, after he's facing 90 degrees, the complete wrong direction at one point there on the approach to turn number 2. As we see Nash on the inside in car number 155. He qualified really nicely. I think it was the 4th row of the grid, but an issue off the line in yesterday's race saw him drop to pretty much the back of the field. So he's still recovering from that because so much of yesterday's race was under safety car. His progress was almost nulled. Here's a replay of what happened. Look for the black and orange machine.
Oh, okay. I think maybe Ambrose might be in a little bit of strife there. I think there was definitely no room to move back on, but at the same time, where else has he got to go?
That's right.
In a situation like that. So he would have to have stayed on the grass for quite a significant period of time. So may very well be looked at after the race, but for Ambrose, he's still up the pointy end of the field. And for Carpenter, he's now got a bit of a recovery job to do. Here comes Nash again. So he started out of position 21, as you said, well out of position compared to where he qualified yesterday, and making his way through the field already up to 15th. So has gained 6 places. Looks like that's now 7, having just passed the machine of Seymour, who started in 15th. So he'd held his own at the start there. So 1 more spot for Charlie Nash.
Indeed, yeah, continuing to make progress as we see all the cars stream through. Ambrose also in that second half of the lap has also made up a few positions after the incident at turn number 1 that we just saw a replay of. As we see them stream over the hill. Look at all these Hyundai XLs, such a big field of cars. I believe the biggest entry list of any category this weekend. A big field of well over 30 cars, 34 in total. And there's battles all the way up and down the field as we see. Oh, big sideways moment. Can he catch it?
Left, right. Hotchkiss. Gareth Hotchkiss is going to come to a stop, sort of just half on that racing line, heading down into turn number 9. But I think he's probably, I'm not sure this was contact in that. The car looks fairly straight. Maybe just a little bit of a moment over the top of the hill, and fistfuls of opposite left and right. Unfortunately, couldn't keep it facing the right direction.
He'll have a big sigh of relief. Not hitting anything there when you're that out of control is something you've got to bless, quite simply. So yes, he'll be very lead. Oh no,
that's
right.
Phillips.
Yeah, Ryan Phillips off at turn number 1.
He might be beached. I think that's gone in sideways there. I don't think that's coming out in any great hurry. This will be a safety car for sure. The Poolmaster Bayside number 8 machine, which we saw a little bit earlier, is a NASCAR-inspired livery on that car, is going nowhere. I would not be surprised to see the tow vehicles and the safety car being called for in the next few seconds. So for Peter Faulkner, it looks like he's actually gone back to the head of the queue here, so Williams hasn't been able to hold the lead in the last few moments. In fact, Harry Tompkins has gone through as well, so maybe there might have been a mistake for Williams, or was he potentially caught up as an innocent bystander in what has happened to Ryan Phillips? whatever the case, Williams has not only lost first place in the last few laps, he's also recently lost second place.
Sorry, apologies. It's Ambrose in 5th. It was Carpenter, of course, who had the spin at turn number 1.
Another car touring the paddock. That's Bradley Packham, the number 50 machine. So plenty of mistakes early on in this second race of the weekend for Hyundai Excels.
Certainly is.
Yep, double waved yellows. They're actually trying to recover the car under double waved yellows. So this is an interesting decision.
See the recovery vehicle trying to hook him up and take him away.
Safety car boards are at the ready just in case. So there was a note I did hear in the drivers' briefings yesterday that they were going to attempt where possible to pull cars in under double waved yellows if it meant that they could try and maximise the amount of lap time. If they had no choice, they would put the safety car out.
Fulton has gapped Tompkins on that last lap, or maybe under the double waved yellows, because it looked quite close at that point. Oh, all by himself, lost the rear, and just trying to save it from that moment on. As we see the 888 Home Loans replay of Hotchkiss just trying to regain control of that Excel.
That was almost like drifting down the hills in Japan, isn't it? So have a look in the back of your shot here. Oh, that was all on his own as well for Phillips. So maybe a failure of some particular reason or another there for car number 8. So 2 incidents, both on their own, and potentially were very close to one of them very close to causing a safety car. But for the moment, it looks like the officials have done a fantastic job to get that car hooked up and potentially off the circuit at turn 1. So great thinking from the crew in the box above us. Here comes the recovery job from Dale Carpenter up the inside of Matthew Seymour. So he continues to storm his way back through the field. He was 17th last time around, so that would put him up around about 13th or 14th place as it stands right now. Have a look at that. So he'll be down a lap here, Ryan Phillips. So points-wise, importantly, he's going to collect some points, but the recovery crews have done an almighty job to get him out and keep this race flowing.
I don't think he will collect points. They're only down to P20, so he will be outside the points. So I imagine utter chaos erupts in front of us in these final few laps, and the recovery continues. Carpenter now well inside the top half of the field. That's P13, I believe, passing Christie into turn number 1. There's a bit of a gap now to Nash, fellow mover up the field. Is the next car ahead of him a couple of seconds down the road. But those 2 cars continuing to move forward at a vast rate of knots, which is really good to see. Be interesting to see where they finish come end of race 3 this afternoon.
Yes, Charlie Nash hasn't been able to make much more headway here. He's potentially looking at lining up another move, I'd say, in the next few corners. The next car for him is the 164 machine of Josh Sacco, and a bunch of other cars ahead. I can see Sala, got Chris Steelo's in here as well, and you've got the 2 car along with Stuart Bruckner. So there's some positions right before the picking for Charlie Nash if he can start to find a way through. Back to the head of the field though, Peter Faulkner has got his hands full with Harry Tompkins giving him the big hurry up right now. They come across the line to chalk up 5 laps completed. Was there a couple of cars that I just saw disappear into the pits? I think maybe Ryan Phillips looks like he's just come into the lane having been pulled out of the gravel trap by the recovery crews. As we see a change for the lead here, down into turn 1. Tompkins firmly and authoritatively up the inside of Peter Faulkner.
Faulkner, big double lock-up.
Straight through. Great situational awareness from Faulkner. Just waited, held the brake a touch longer than he ideally would normally do so. Tompkins went sailing past with fistfuls of understeer and brake lock-up. And Faulkner said, "Thank you very much, I'll have my P1 back."
That's all changed. So Lodge got through on Williams at the final corner for 3rd on... at the end of that last lap, and a couple of corners later inherits P2. As we just saw Tompkins, both wheels locked, firing across the grass. No control once you lock both wheels. It's hard enough with one, but when you lock both up, you've got no control at all. You're just simply going where you're headed.
So Ambrose grabs another spot there as Tompkins is now left to fight it out with Kobe Williams, who's gone backwards from the front row at the beginning of this race. Now, how bad are those front tyres going to be for Harry Tompkins? Are they going to be bigger than the sizes of 50-cent pieces? Is he going to hit the brakes, and is it going to tyre going to rotate back to that spot and make it worse? He's going to have to be very careful with the brake application here aboard car 33.
More changes of position. Tompkins and Williams moving through on Ambrose now. So that top three once again reshuffling. And we can actually see Lodge with his personal best lap on that last lap at 1:33.9, a couple of seconds faster than all of his competitors around him, because they all had strife or slowed down or in a battle. And here we come, Williams back up the inside once more. Tompkins falling back to position number 4. This is great racing in these first couple of groups of cars. And Ambrose now sitting behind, looking, seeing if he can get a run. Williams a little wide on the exit of turn number 3, and it's a change for the lead. Lodge now out ahead of Faulkner. And another change of position. Brilliant action in this second Hyundai XL race.
That's Caleb Heffernan up the inside of Matthew Seymour there at turn number 1. And close confines going through the 2-3 chicane, and then just waiting in the wings is a number 35 machine of Craig Christie, tucked in there behind the Apex Pools car of Matthew Seymour.
See him head onto the back straight. Oh,
shortcut for Peter Faulkner at turn 7 and 8. Now, did he gain a spot by doing that? If so, he'll have to give that back pretty quickly. Maybe he had a run on the back straight over James Lodge. We'll yet to see what the end result of that is, but they're not working together here. They're now fighting for positions 1 and 2. That's now allowing Tompkins, Williams and Ambrose to start to close the margin down. So they were either going to be relying on the top 2 to engage in dogfight, or they were going to have to start working together. So let's have a look over the top here. Turn 6 and 7. So, fistfuls of opposite locks. So shortcut by virtue of a driving mistake for Peter Faulkner. So he actually had the lead going into turn 6, so didn't gain an advantage. Therefore is, I'd say, in the won't be in the steward's books for that one.
Lodge sends it. Oh, great move. Licked the stamp and sent it and pulled it off, and Tompkins is now there. So it's now a 5-way fight for the lead as Lodge is going to look to try and break away from this group of 4. But what a move down at turn 2. He wasn't right behind him. He sent it from a bit of a way back. Clean move, pulled it off. Really, really, really well
executed.
Really executed. That's the word. Thank you. Executed move. I was trying to find the word this morning. And we see now Faulkner pulling out of the draft on the back straight, but decides to pull back in line as they head down into Dandenong Road corner. Is anybody going to look for position? No, they remain on. Oh, Tompkins with a double lock up again. He manages to pull it up before he gets to the gravel, but that's really costly. And that's exactly what you said. He's found that same spot on the tyres, locked up once again, and lost all steering. He's now out of contention for the victory, I'd think.
And then there were 4 at the front of the field, so it's gone from 5 to 4 pretty quickly. This battle continues between the Matthew Seymour and the number 64 entry of Caleb Heffernan here.
Oh, another lock up and another one off at Dandenong Road. Can he get out? No, I don't think he will. He's got to keep the momentum going. Oh, he has just about. Will he get out the gravel trap?
Yes, he will.
Great stuff.
Just keep the momentum going there. Just hope to God that the car was going to just claw its way out of the gravel trap. So final lap board is on display. Drivers will have seen it. So the lead group of 4 cars is going to fight hard here. Oh, that's a late send and a major contact. Josh Sacco in
and a roll
in Jason
Kate.
And there's a barrel roll in there as well. So they've both rolled. One's on its side, and we can't see the other one through the dust.
And
Tompkins is off. Tompkins is off. He's hit the fence, it looks like, at turn number 3 and 4. So red flag surely on display, and yeah, there is red flag at the start finish line right now. So racing is nullified. Kay's done a full roll, and Sacco is on his side. Thankfully, it's driver's side up, not driver's side down.
So yeah, that was that simply the roll was because he went in the gravel trap sideways, and when you do that, it just flips over the car, totally digs in, rolls over. So yeah, a very, very dramatic end to that race.
Here's a replay of what happened down at turn 1. Now, I think this is just a mistake from Josh Sacco. He went for the pass, on Stuart Bruckner and then just locked it up and got it completely wrong. You can see inside front locking there, and Kay had no idea. He had absolutely no idea that the 164 Asako was up the inside and out of control. And it looks like Kay's done a full roll there. And then, here we go, this is a better angle of it. They both, oh, it was almost synchronised, wasn't it?
Yeah, synchronised rolling.
Synchronised roll. Unfortunately for Josh Sacco, his roll didn't complete. He ended up coming to rest 3/4 of the way through the roll on the passenger side. And the 99 of Jason Kay ended up doing the full barrel roll. So
Down here in the XL paddock, this is Harry Tompkins, and he drives the battery stop Hyundai XL. Harry, welcome.
Thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about your racing journey and how you came to be where you are today?
Well, I started watching like V8 supercars because of my dad. He loved it. And then I said, we took the go-kart out once. I hated it. And then I said, I'm only going to drive if there's a roof on it. So, yeah, so we got a car. And, yeah, that's it.
The results have steadily been improving over the years, and you're one of the front runners now consistently at the pointy end of the field. How do you unlock the speed in the Hyundai XL?
You just got to ragdoll it all around the track, everywhere. You just drive it to the limits. That's all.
So these trade secrets you can't share with us? Is that what's going on?
No, I'm telling you all the secrets. It's just try and drive it as fast as you can around in a circle.
And are there any corporate partners you'd like to give some love to?
Oh, obviously Battery Stop. For their support over the past 3 years, and TiCab cable, and then obviously me mum and dad.
Thank you to the bank of mum and dad. We say a big thank you to Harry Tompkins for joining us down here in the paddock.
anyway, all right, we're going 5 minutes remaining just about now, so with a bit of luck we'll get a green flag in the next few seconds and we will be away. 5 second board being held out, so we will be getting around 3 to 4 laps. Let's see how far we get. Lights are on at the tower and we are away for the final race of the weekend for the Hyundai Circuit XLs. Even start off the front, Lodge and Faulkner, Tompkins and Williams, and then Ambrose followed by Larry Merrifield. So the top 6 away rather smartly, and here is the number 8 of Ryan Phillips making his way past Carroll. He's right down the back of the field, so let's see how far he gets in this shortened race. And Nash, has he made a good use of his start and the absence of a couple of cars ahead of him? It looks pretty good to me. He's up to about 9th as it sits on the road right now.
Yeah, maybe made a couple of positions, but Carpenter swings around the outside and he started the row behind him, so I think it's actually Carpenter that's made the better start of those two. I think Nash is in about the same as Carpenter that's moved up, and Phillips already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars he's passed from the back of the grid, and we're on board with him now as we head up the back straight. Phillips Jr., thanks to his retro livery, of course, as we see him take to the outside of the yellow machine. That's Hotchkiss on the inside, and there's a train of them on the inside. He's going to try and stick on the outside, see how many places he can get. That's 2. Can he get a 3rd? Yes, he can. There's room left. What about a 4th? I don't think so, unless he's going to lunge up the inside at Dandy Road. Brilliant onboard imagery as he goes down the gearbox. A few lockups ahead. That's Appledore just ahead in the Tribute HDT livery, so another Tribute livery out there. Oh no, it isn't, sorry. Hello.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. So he made his way through the field pretty quickly there from the back of the pack. And that's just not from pure horsepower race. There's a little bit of tuning that you can go on with the Hyundai XLs, but apart from that, it is a stock category. You know, stock engine, they've got stock suspension, stock tyres, control suspension, control tyres and things, shall I say, not stock. But they do have a little bit of freedom on a couple of fronts. So it's not all about, you know, someone has something different to somebody else. They've just spent a little bit more time getting the most out of it as well. That's why you saw up the back there, great illustration of Phillips being able to just pass a couple of cars just by being a little bit smarter off the turn 4, having a little bit better tuning, a little bit better with the suspension and the settings, and just gaining those extra couple of kilometres an hour up the back straight.
Absolutely, as we see the battles further down the field. There is the machine of Hotchkiss, who had a big moment, probably had to have a bit of a change of underwear after a big spin in race number 2, spinning down off this fast corner at the top of the hill, spinning all the way down towards turn number 9 at Dandenong Road. It was a massive moment He was lucky not to hit any wall. Quite remarkable down at that part of the road. And we can see once again it's the same 5 cars up front. Lodge, Faulkner, Tompkins, and then we have Williams and Ambrose. 2 laps to go, we're being told, with 1 minute and 45 seconds on the clock.
Actually, they're getting ready the last lap board at the start-finish line right now, I believe. Yeah, they're holding it out. So this is a 3-lap affair. So extremely short and sharp race for this one in Hyundai Excels. Lap times around the 1 minute 34 mark, and you can see on your timing screen there about 1 minute 30 to go. So they'll pretty much get back to the start-finish line just before just after the clock strikes 0 time remaining. Here comes Carpenter down the inside of Larry Merrifield. That's a pretty authoritative move. Job done. Looks like Nash is trying a similar thing on William Sala in the number 3 machine there. He couldn't get the job done though. Carpenter, in fact, has got the job done on Merrifield into turn 1. Holds that position into 2 and 3.
As we see Nash, he's made his way up into the top 10. And just around him as well, Carpenter has made really good progress despite only completing 2 laps. He's up to 7th position from 13th on the grid. That's a mighty impressive run in just a couple of laps. Here we go then, the fight for the lead with half a lap to go. Lodge goes defensive. Faulkner cannot go the long way around at the top of the hill. He's going to have a look. He's got a good run down the hill. Here he goes.
Swings to the inside. For the race win here down the inside. There's absolutely zero margin for error. Faulkner was alongside, and there's some contact between Faulkner and Lodge. The move was on. That had to be the move for the race win. If it was going to be pulled off, it was right there at Dandenong Road. But has that done any real damage to Peter Faulkner's number 46? It has put Williams and Ambrose all over the rear boot lid of the 46 stop and seal machine, and he's going to hold them out to the checkered flag, and a very close finish back there for 2nd and 3rd. Where did Ryan Phillips get to? He's coming through the last couple of corners now, and looks like he's managed to get himself, I think, inside the top 20. Who's he chasing there at the moment?
Good exit. Can he get one more position?
He's chasing Clark, Emma Clark. He just misses out, I think, at the start-finish line there. He got up to 16th. So here's the replay at turn number 9. So the move was on here, Dan.
He hit that curb on the inside. It unsettled the car, locked up, but he was far enough up the inside. So, yeah, the question is, was he in control?
That's the big question. Was he in control? He had track position. He had the inside line. It was far enough up alongside. And I'm pretty sure the rules in the local state racing actually say that if there is overlap, you must give room. So I would say, even though he was out of control, I still think he was in position to snare that corner. I'll let the adjudicators upstairs work that one out, but the move was there. Very simple. I think the move was there. He had to go for it. I don't think he had choice, but Lodge left him pretty much a car's width and not enough more than that. So I say it was fair play.
Yeah, really interesting one to call, really difficult one to call, as we say. We'll leave that one up to the stewards, but I know what Lodge will be saying. 100% he drove into me, and I know exactly what our race winner Faulkner will be saying. Oh, no, I had the inside. It was my space. You left me room. So, yeah, there'll be very much 2 stories on that one. That is for certain. I noticed there as well, Tompkins ran wide at Dandenong Road, and that's why he finished in 4th, allowing Ambrose and Williams through on that final lap. So in the end, it was Faulkner with 100 points in total, 3 race victories. You may have seen the coverage earlier on. It wasn't Faulkner that crossed the line first, but because of that red flag, we went back a couple of laps, and it was Faulkner that won race 2. So yes, he won the round, 3 race victories. Williams was 2nd overall with 85 points, and Tompkins 3rd with 82 points for the round. Here's a replay once more.
Yeah, the more I see it, Dan, the more I think that, yeah, while, you know, the move was there to be made, Lodge did leave him some space. It left him just enough space by the regulation. So by, I guess, racing rule, I would say, you know, he probably had to leave him a little bit more room at the corner apex than he did.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say, would he have made the turn if Lodge wasn't there?
That's the real question, isn't it? Because he was very, very narrow on the approach to that corner.
Correct.
So he would have had to wipe off a substantial amount of speed and would have been vulnerable to the cars behind.
That's a really tough call for the officials to make. I'll leave that up to them very much. I honestly, yeah, I'm really not sure on that one.